Hey guys, Adam here. Okay, so this video is going to be a bit of a rant. To be honest, I wish this video didn't exist. By the way, if you haven't already, please check out the page I've got about this on my blog. Here's the link. I'll also put the link down there in the description. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I wish that this whole RAW versus JPEG thing in the photography world just did not exist. Why? Because online, around all of the photo forums, I think there's some pretty strong views either side for both camps. You know, do you shoot RAW or do you shoot JPEG on your DSLR or camera? And I don't think most people actually really understand why they support one view or another, particularly those in the RAW camp. And everyone just seems to turn into this really angry 15-year-old boy, which I don't really think is cool. You know, in talking about these people that seem to just get really hung up on the whole RAW versus JPEG debate, check out this video. I think that this guy particularly goes a little bit too far. So let me just surmise a few things here. JPEG is the file format that most digital cameras and phones will output, especially by default. Most consumer cameras will just output a JPEG file. The beauty of the JPEG file is that it's pretty much just finished. You can look at your images on the screen, you can take your card out of the camera, you can take it into a nearby chemist or photo place and just get your photos printed pretty much as soon as they're taken, and you don't have to worry about doing any post-production. RAW, on the other hand, is a much larger file format than JPEG and carries a lot more information than JPEG. As a general rule, RAWs tend to also not look like the finished product, as in they tend to leave things like the contrast and the exposure, the saturation, quite open to manipulation. And the beauty of RAWs is that you can edit your RAWs as much as you would like to without actually compromising the quality. Whereas with a JPEG, if you try and push it too far in contrast or saturation and tone, the file tends to fall over. So let's just have a look at a couple of these examples. So here I've actually got an image which started as a RAW, and here in Adobe Lightroom I'm adjusting the saturation, I'm adjusting the contrast, and I'm getting exactly the image that I want. On the other hand, here's exactly the same image that was taken as a RAW, but I've just exported it as a JPEG to mimic what a JPEG, to mimic what it would have been like had it been a JPEG if it came out the camera. Watch what happens as I try and edit it and push it too far. The file just seems to fall over, doesn't it? That's a problem. Or is it a problem? You see, when it comes to photography, and I don't care at what level of photography we're talking about, this can be consumer, this can be artistic, this can be commercial, newsreel, whatever, it is only the final image that counts. And it is only the emotional impact of the image that counts. When someone sees a photograph that you've got on the wall or in print on a screen, it is only the emotional impact of that image that counts. So let's look at a few examples. This picture here is Napalm Girl. Napalm Girl was shot on film during the Vietnam War. It's pretty horrific content, but it was shot on really high ISO, grainy film. As far as I understand, there wasn't really much in the way of post-production done on this image. It was just taken. Arguably there's a little bit of camera shake in there. If Photoshop existed at the time, maybe we would increase the contrast or play around with it a little bit, but as it turns out, that didn't happen. But this particular image during the Vietnam War had such an emotional impact that it pretty much turned the public sentiment in the US against the whole idea of being involved in the Vietnam War. That is how powerful this image is. To me, it's actually one of my most favourite photos because of the power that that photograph had at the time when it was taken. You know, it was interesting. I was in the city with a few friends recently with my Leica, and I was taking a few photos just of us as a group having a fun time. It was nothing too special in the end. It was just photos of us as friends having a good time. And then we were flicking through the images later on the screen. You know, we were just looking at them, and a friend just said, "Hey, yeah, that's cool. There's a photo place just across the road. Can we just go and get a couple of prints of that made?" I looked at it and realised, I've shot this on RAW. I can't do that. If you shoot RAW, you can't just take your card out and drop it in a photo booth and get prints. That's a problem. You know, it's also about the enjoyment of the photography process. So if you enjoy processing your RAWs in Adobe Lightroom and having a grand old time doing that, far be it from me to try and stop you. But for me, the real craft and skill of photography doesn't come from how good we might be in Lightroom. It comes from how good we might be on framing up a photo and getting our exposure right at that time when we take the shot. You see, that's the big problem I take with Jared Polin in his video, because in a lot of his other videos, when you see him shooting, whether or not his subject is actually really moving, he seems to be using the rapid fire on his Nikon quite a lot, and he's going click, 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 just taking the same shot with just a completely randomized set of settings on his camera, and just hoping that he's going to get something good at the end of the day. What I really like about the work of Eric Kim shoots on film, mainly on a Leica rangefinder, and he takes his shot on film. He focuses on getting the shot just right when he actually takes the image, and he doesn't worry about too much in the way of post-processing. He puts all of the effort into just taking the shot and getting the shot right at that time, and that to me is what makes him a far more skilled photographer than most, definitely a far more skilled photographer than me, and in my view, Jared Polin as well. You see, whereas film is actually quite editable, it also does give you a final image. You see, I'll always remember with fun taking film out of a camera, taking it down the photo place and getting the prints made. And something else I'll actually say, particularly with Leicas and what I also think Fujifilm as well, a lot of their inside processes, particularly if you wanted to exclusively just shoot black and white or exclusively shoot high saturated colour, the look that they give you from a JPEG is really nice. So forget about shooting RAW or JPEG. Just get your camera out, take some photos, have fun, focus on enjoying the process of taking the pictures, editing them if you do want to shoot RAW, but just take the pictures, get them right as you're actually taking them, enjoy it, enjoy looking at your images on the screen, and enjoy seeing other people have a fun, emotional impact from your pictures. So that's all I want to say. Thanks, guys.